We're back.
We are.
Again. Yeah.
And not in the ways that people might know.
Yes. Maybe... We tried to record this last night and it sucked shit, so we'll just...
It was our first try in a few months.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah. As some of you may know, and by some of you I mean none of you because no one is listening, about a year ago we recorded an episode of this show, Compatriots, and we played Halo 1, and it went pretty well. So... Now, this is the second episode, and we're, the format is the same. We're gonna kind of introduce the game a little bit, and
Maybe we should introduce ourselves first.
Oh, yeah. It's always weird, isn't it? Okay, alright.
It felt like a good segue.
Yeah, it is a good segue. With me is Sean P. Sean Petersohn.
Yeah.
And I'm William Chandler.
Oh, I thought I was going to get to introduce you. This is William Chandler.
Oh, thank you. We're still working out the dynamics.
I think one episode has covered that you're the host.
Yeah, well, I meant working out our dynamic. We're struggling. We're not celebrities here. This doesn't come naturally. We have to really work at this. Mm-hmm. All right. So yes. So we're gonna talk about. We'll introduce the game. We'll talk a little bit about its creation, which most people will be familiar. It's Halo.
It's Halo.
What a surprise!
It's more Halo.
Yeah. So cool. Halo 2 was released in 2004.
The year of our Lord.
The year of our Lord, 2004, by Bungie.
Mm-hmm.
For the original Xbox. So. Actually, this is something I should already know, but I believe that's 3 years after the first game?
Yeah, and this was when Xbox Live started also.
Yes. Yes, it is. And that's a big part. I actually have that later on in my notes. It's kind of a big part about what made this game so famous.
Yeah, there was a lot of culture behind both of those things happening.
Yes.
Pretty much in unison.
Yes. Yeah, so almost exactly... to the day, 3 years after the launch of Halo Combat Evolved. Halo 2. A lot of people were excited about this game. It definitely kind of created the idea of what playing a video game online is, for sure. And, I mean, for somebody like me who was a child, we were 10 years old.
Yeah,
my mother did not give me an Xbox Live subscription. I barely got an Xbox, so to ask for more would have been just rude.
I'm in the same boat. Only I didn't have an Xbox. I remember them being pretty expensive. Although I might be misremembering because we were 10. But
yeah,
I pretty much only had a PS2 for most of that generation. But and that's probably why I don't have as much experience with Halo. But
yeah, I specifically. I didn't have an Xbox until just before Halo 2 came out. So It was later in that Halo 2 was very near the end of that console's lifespan. The Xbox 360 came out in the very next year, I believe, November of 2005.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it was... I got an Xbox pretty late in the console. I think I even got it from a fucking pawn shop or something. I don't know. Florida things.
Yeah, just Florida things. I actually never did own an Xbox. I did have an Xbox 360 because everybody did.
Yes.
But I never had an Xbox. I would always just go to a friend's house. I only had one friend that had one. You were probably that friend in your friend group.
Yeah, sort of. I mean, I had a friend who... Actually, the only reason I even played Halo 1 was because I had that friend.
Oh, really?
And then by the time Halo 2... Yeah, exactly. And then by the time Halo 2 came out, he and I both had Xboxes. But I don't think either of us had Xbox Live, so we were purely... go to each other's houses and play the fucking campaign, idiots, or maybe System Link. I think we System Linked once and then realized it wasn't worth it.
We System Linked once.
Yeah, exactly. That's like a sex metaphor. So yeah, obviously we did not play the original version of this. We played the remaster as part of the Master Chief Collection, which was released in 2014 and was the big kind of marquee title for that release. There wasn't like it seemed like, based on the documentary that we watched a little bit of, and I had seen before, but it was nice to see it again. Yeah, the the Halo 2 was the reason that thing came to exist at all. It was for the anniversary of Halo 2's release, they were going to do a remaster, and somebody at 343, I guess, said, hey, what if we just fucking remade all the shit? Every Halo. And, well, I say remade. They kind of did a resolution bump on the other ones, and they threw in that already existing Halo 1 remaster that we covered last time by Saber Interactive. And I think you probably agree with me here when I say 343 working on this, on the Halo 2 anniversary, did a much better job than Saber Interactive did on the first Halo anniversary.
That's super interesting. I agree. I completely agree.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense, and I didn't know that.
Yeah, I mean, it was 343 was the publisher on the first one, and they really didn't have anything to do with the development because they were working at the time on Halo 4.
Okay.
So Saber Interactive did the campaign in its entirety, and
Wow.
And part of it was probably that Halo 2 Anniversary had a lot more money thrown into it, as is pretty obvious. Saber Interactive did the campaign with some help from Certain Affinity for the multiplayer remaster, and then 343 kind of oversaw the whole project.
Mm-hmm. And we talked a little bit about Blur initially, and I mean we should.
Yeah, definitely. So a big part of this remaster was the completely redoing the cinematics. And the CG cutscenes in this are ridiculously high quality. Blur did those cinematics, and just like the ones that they did for Halo Wars, which was not a great game, but was carried by the cinematics done by Blur in that game. I beat Halo Wars. I actually played a lot of Halo Wars. I don't know why. I played it recently. It's actually, when they re-released it on Steam, I bought that game, and it's currently resides, like I have all my Steam games organized by genre.
Okay.
Except for 3 games, which are under the category "This game fucking sucks."
Oh.
It's the Bureau XCOM Declassified, the third-person shooter XCOM game, the Division, and Halo Wars. That game fucking blows. Wow. I don't know what I was thinking. I liked that game as a kid, but I really was.
I guess it's safe to say that won't be part of our arc of game. I mean, that isn't co-op anyway.
Actually, it might be. I don't know. That's a good question. I know Halo Wars 2 is, so maybe we'll do that.
Okay.
Anyway, I don't know if I don't know. I never played Halo Wars 2. I don't know if I want to sign up for. Okay, so back on track here. Yes, Blur did the cinematics, and they did a fucking great job. That's exactly what I wrote here in my notes.
As is.
Yes,
I can verify.
It's perfect. And then big things. Halo 2 changed some things from the first game. I don't have a lot here. I struggled to think of things that exist in both games that were radically different.
We had some struggle with controls, but I don't know if there's not much to say there.
And it's part of this is the way the Master Chief Collection handles controls is a little complicated,
and it's worth mentioning since we are playing the Master Chief.
Yeah, you get all of the original layout options across all of the games, and if you want to, you can use, say, the Halo 3 controls in Halo 2 or Halo 1 or whatever. It makes some amount of sense, except for the fact that not every game has the same functions.
Yeah.
They add mechanics over time. So, if you're using the Halo 2 controls, let's say, in Halo 1, why do you have a button for picking up, for doing dual wielding, and I don't know. It's a whole thing. Anyway, so Halo 2 changed some things just as a video game. I think the big one that I remember from being a kid and still miss to this day is the removal of the assault rifle.
Yeah, and it's really sad because I didn't even acknowledge it the entire time we played the game. Maybe I thought about it once or twice, but then you brought it up once we actually finished, and it's like, yeah, I didn't even think about it. But it seems like you like the assault rifle, so. I
love the assault rifle.
Yeah.
The assault rifle is Halo to me.
Okay.
I mean, that I think I'm already giving away the fact that I think Halo 1 is a better game. But, like, Halo, like, to me, half of the satisfaction of clearing a room in that game is just running in, fucking just assault rifle, just, like, lighting a fire under the ass of every Covenant in the room.
Say somebody's favorite rifle is the battle rifle.
That person is wrong as fuck.
Well, let me continue.
The only reason the battle rifle is good is because you can glitch and murder people in multiplayer.
Would that be foreshadowing that person also might like Halo 2 more?
Yes, and that person would also be wrong for that, and perhaps should not be on this podcast.
I'm not saying it's me.
Oh, okay, good. Well, then we have no issues.
I'm saying a person.
And then my other note here under Halo 2 changed some things is the pistol is changed to be more of a pistol and less of a surrogate dad. And I think that just about sums up. I remember everybody being really upset about this change. Like the pistol in Halo 1 became the de facto multiplayer weapon because of how broken it is, and in single player it really does deliver a ridiculous amount of whoop ass on enemies, especially ones who don't have shields. It's a guaranteed headshot machine.
I don't know if you remember the specific moment while we were playing, but there was only one time where I picked up the pistol and used it for a second, and I said something along the lines of, "Oh, this isn't as good." And you're like, "Yeah." And I never used it again.
Yeah. I mean, there are definitely people who like the version of the pistol in Halo 2 and onward, but
the model looks physically smaller too.
It is. It's. I think. I mean, whatever. We're gonna get a lot of things wrong in this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say right now that I'm probably wrong about this. But I feel like there's an in-canon reason for the fact that the pistol looks completely different. But fuck if I know. I mean, whatever. Yeah. It also doesn't zoom in anymore, I think.
I didn't even keep it long enough to try.
Who fucking cares? Yeah. I just remember the pistol change and didn't even pick one up the entire time we were playing through this game.
Maybe the Master Chief used every pistol available in the first game.
Maybe all of the pistols were destroyed in the destruction of Halo 1.
Well, because that one Marine at the beginning is telling you how you're so bad at keeping up with your equipment.
Yeah, at the beginning of the game. Yeah, we'll get to that. Okay, so... and then I have some things here. Halo 2 notably adds the battle rifle. I use notably with heavy air quotes here because the battle rifle is a piece of shit.
Wow. You feel strongly about this.
It's not very satisfying to use, especially when compared to... Like, I don't think I would be as salty about this if they left the assault rifle in. Mm-hmm. Having both the assault rifle and the battle rifle would be nice, because I think they complement each other well.
They really wanted you to just use this gun.
But in the fucking view of the fact that they nixed the assault rifle for this gun, I really extra hate it.
Yep, it's petty.
It's not very satisfying, I think. But, you know, I know you like it, so whatever.
Well, it's kind of the same reason I like the carbine, which maybe we'll talk about because we use that a lot too. But it's just a lot more of like a concentrated fire sort of thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, whatever. Well, you know, it kills things. So it does what it's supposed to do.
You just need a weapon.
Yeah, and I guess, well, spoiler, but you jumped ahead to the carbine, which is another notable addition. A new Covenant weapon, a single shot kind of DMR thing that is a good gun. We wound up using this gun a lot, I think, in this playthrough. I think it lacks a certain oomph that, I mean, Covenant weapons all do because they're like laser based, and it makes some amount of sense. But it's satisfying to pull off headshots with this thing, and is fine. But Halo 2 in general, really, a lot of the weapons lack that oomph. Like you get that feeling from the fucking shotgun, and then not really anything else, I think.
Yeah, especially when the shotgun is being used against you. You really get the oomph of the shotgun.
We'll fucking talk about that.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I really liked using the carbine, and it's for the same reasons that I liked the battle rifles. It's just a lot easier to kind of aim. Mm-hmm. It's like something in between the assault rifle and the sniper, you know?
Well, yeah, and actually, now that I'm thinking about it, like, think about the like, we talked about, they changed the pistol, which had a lot of kick and a lot of oomph in the first game. I used it
so much in the first game.
Yeah, it just felt so good and was loud, and you just... it was like sex, but for guns. And then the assault rifle as well. It was just very intense every time you shot that thing. It was loud. The muzzle burst took up like a 90% of the fucking screen.
There's a portion of the video we were watching with the documentary where they're showing all of those noises being recorded.
Yeah.
And it's just like absurd how many different guns they had on that table to
choose from. And I honestly think, and maybe this is some audio mixing stuff and whatever, and the choice of the weapons, but the changes they made. Halo 2 shooting is not as satisfying across the fucking board.
Yeah,
the controls are better. Everything's tighter. The game in general is more refined.
Mm-hmm.
But like the weapon choice and like just a lot of stuff like that, like it just doesn't feel as good. And this is something that I think the rest of the franchise wrestles with in some cases. But whatever. We're
Well, there's one weapon we didn't mention though. The energy sword. How do you feel about that? Do you hate it?
No, I don't hate it. Is this... I guess Halo 2 is the first time you can use an energy sword, isn't it?
Yeah, it's used against you.
In Halo 1,
sure,
but you can't pick it up. Yeah,
it was the first time you
That's
got to
actually,
use it,
to be honest, and this is completely... I should not be admitting this, but I totally forgot about that. I don't know why. I don't even have that in my notes
Well,
here.
it's far more embarrassing that I was the one that recalled it.
Absolutely, yeah. I
don't know shit about this franchise.
You need to leave, sir. No, I don't know. For whatever reason, I think it's because I used the energy sword pretty much like when it was given to me as like when you start a level as the Arbiter, you start with the energy sword in a lot of cases.
Yeah.
I would use it up and then fucking drop it for something else because honestly, you put yourself in so much danger when using that thing, and we all know how grenade happy enemies are in Halo, and whatever.
I loved using the energy sword. I used it a lot.
Yeah,
definitely a lot more than you.
Yes.
Sometimes to your detriment.
Yes. It's it's legitimately satisfying.
I feel like
for sure.
Them adding that dash is what makes it feel like it's really cool to experience in the first game, but getting to use it yourself, that dash really adds to it.
Yeah.
But the one thing that I hate is that I do think they run out of power too fast. It's almost like not fun, like how much you have to replace them.
I agree, but I mean it's also like that weapon is in a lot of cases a one-hit kill and a basically get out of jail free card. So
yeah.
I understand why they limit it so heavily. And that's kind of the case with a lot of guns in this game. Like they really wanted you to spend a lot more time switching weapons as opposed to finding what you like and sticking with it, because 9 times out of 10 when you're using a weapon, you're not going to get the ammo you want for it for a while, and they really encourage you to mix it up and use what's around you. And
it feels more so with human weapons.
Yeah. And then so yeah, human weapons, nice segue to the SMG being another new addition.
Yeah,
which is pretty satisfying. I like it. I know you don't.
No, I don't dislike it. I just don't. I don't know.
It's satisfying. It puts a lot of it's the closest thing to the assault rifle in this game, and therefore close to God. But yeah, satisfying.
You mentioned liking it with the needler.
Yes, it's just a good like dual wielding weapon. For sure.
I didn't do a whole lot of that in this game.
I didn't either. Yeah. I don't know why. And then the brute shot, another new one.
We both liked that.
Yeah, it's like a little grenade launcher. I don't know. It's fun to use. I like the melee does maybe this is like a what is it called? When you think something is having an effect, but actually isn't the something effect.
Placebo effect.
Yes. Maybe it's a placebo effect of the thing having a gigantic fucking blade on the bottom. But like it felt like it did more melee damage than other weapons.
Yeah, it's a shame. I really didn't use the melee aspect of it very much, and now I kind of regret that. Maybe next time around.
Yeah, there you go. Something to look forward to. And then they added some new enemies. Of course, the brutes and the bug boys.
Mm-hmm.
The brutes are rad. The bug boys fucking suck shit. I think we're in agreement there.
The bugs are horrible.
Yes.
I have no redeeming qualities. Not even.
They're just not even fun to kill.
There's a whole lot of things in Halo in general, and I'm sure it's going to be this way in the other few games, where like the artistic merit of what's going on will kind of make you be a little bit forgiving of some stuff. Mm-hmm. But man, these things don't even look cool.
No, they're just bugs. They really, and their introduction is so weird and unceremonious, and it's like. They just sort of throw them in levels where they're like, oh yeah, we need to remind the player that they can look up
Yeah.
For some reason, and yeah, I don't know. They're just not that fun.
Yeah.
And then and then we kind of briefly touched on these last two things, but Halo 2 also added dual wielding and Xbox Live.
Yeah.
I
like those two things
I know.
next to each other.
I know. Equally as important.
The two most important things.
So, I don't think the campaign was playable over Xbox Live. I think it was just multiplayer, right?
Wow, I don't remember.
Not in the remaster. In the remaster, you can definitely play it online. I don't think in the original you could.
Okay.
I don't know. Somebody write in and tell me I'm a fucking idiot, please.
I'd love to know, too.
Okay, so... General impressions.
Quick break real quick.
Yeah. Okay, we'll take a quick break. Enjoy some tunes from Halo 2. Okay, and there we go. What'd you do on your break?
I made some tea. What'd you do on your break?
I used the bathroom.
I did that too, but I thought the tea sounded nicer.
Yeah, it does. It does. Maybe I shared too much.
I mean, you kind of made tea. I don't know.
Go on.
No, I don't want to.
Okay, alright, okay. Okay, so we left off kind of just about to get into our impressions on the game.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Halo 2? One of the greatest games of all time, according to some. Bear that in mind as you answer the next question.
I really liked it.
Okay. You really liked it.
I really did like it. Alright, here's the thing. I can't decide if I liked it more than the first Halo. I've been thinking about that a lot before we recorded this, and I just can't seem to come to an answer because they both have their merits. They both have things that I don't love about them, but as soon as I think of one thing that I don't like about the game, I think about something I equally love about it.
Yeah.
And it just goes back and forth. So I like Halo and Halo 2. They just those are my feelings on it.
They're two games in a franchise that has mini games.
Yeah.
Numerous games, not miniature games, not like WarioWare. Yeah, so boy, if you were gonna rate Halo 2 on a scale, let's say, all right, I'm editorializing the infinite scale here.
Debuting?
No, editorializing in the sense if you're listening to this and you know me personally, you know that I have this really insufferable scale called the infinite scale where I only rate things on it.
So it's not debuting.
So it goes
because the only people who will be listening are people that
the only person listening to this is my mom, and I'm sure I've described it to her before. So the infinite scale, I'm actually editorializing it in the sense that I am shortening it. It only goes from -5 to +5 now.
Oh,
so a 10-point scale, just like normal.
That does make it easier to understand.
Yeah, it's a 10-point scale.
With 0 being absolute neutral.
0 being neutral or average. So go ahead and rate Halo 2 on the infinite scale.
Alright.
And then give a Halo 1 rating for comparison.
This new tapered down scale is new to me, so you're getting my fresh reaction on this.
Alright, good. Yeah, I did not brief you on this at all before this recording.
So you're going to get a genuine reaction. Okay, alright. On this new scale, I would say Halo 2 is a 2.
Okay.
And actually, maybe that sounds awful. What is the closest to a traditional 8?
That would be like a. I mean, see, that's the thing is like the scales are not necessarily comparable because they work differently. But I would say a 2 is is pretty close to an 8.
Then that's my.
It's like a 7 or an 8. Yeah.
Okay. 2 steps above neutral or average.
Exactly. It means it's very good.
Yeah.
You liked it.
Yeah.
1 is like you're like lukewarm. You know what I mean? 2 is like you're unzipping your pants. Well, maybe not. You're thinking about it.
It's crossing your mind.
It's crossed your mind. You're like, I would. You're like, I would.
It feels like a 2.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Is it a 2 for you?
Boy. Yes. I think that is a very fair rating for Halo 2. Halo 2 is more of Halo, but polished a little better, polished to a mirror shine, but I think that it loses something in the process. The level design is tighter, everything makes a little bit more coherent sense plot-wise. Things are tightened up, but it loses something. Something, I think, perhaps level design a little bit. Like, the highs are not as high as Halo 1 for me, and the lows are about as low.
Yeah. Music contributes here a lot, too.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the music, I would say, is about as good. I think the individual tracks are less memorable, but overall, the quality bar is persistent. It might have even been raised. I think just now, before we recorded this, we were kind of, while I was typing up my notes, we were listening to the soundtrack, and that shit is high quality, for sure.
Yeah, it's got a lot of rock influence.
Yeah, more than the first game. It's like more rock and more orchestral.
Yeah. Which
seemed like they would be at odds with each other.
Everything's just louder.
I loved they really toned down their usage of synths, which were my favorite parts of the Halo 1 soundtrack. Yeah. So
I will say the Halo 1 soundtrack I do prefer.
It's just more listenable, I think.
It's more ambient and relaxing.
But there's some really solid tracks in this shit. Anyway, so yeah, I think that the level geometry I've written here in my notes seems more natural and real. Like, when you play through Halo 1, especially now, a lot of those levels feel like a video game level.
Yeah.
Just the way they're laid out and the pacing of it. It's very Alien, which I think gets across the kind of strange place mentality that a lot of I imagine, people are feeling when they're there. But, yeah, it's... I mean, you're on Earth at a certain part in this game, and the verticality of it and the layout of everything, it feels good. It feels natural, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But they are the levels are definitely more complex. Branching paths are more frequent. They definitely use, the kind of twisting corridors mentality a lot in this game.
A lot more open spaces, if I'm remembering it right.
Well,
Or no? I don't know.
I don't know. I was thinking about that. I don't think so, only because half of Halo 1 in my brain is, like, just random, unused open space. Like, it feels like smarter open spaces in this. Like, they serve a purpose. I like that about Halo 1. I like how weirdly, like, just open for nothing it is.
You're right about that. The map that immediately comes to mind is the snow one.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking.
And it just feels like one big ice skating rink.
Yeah, it's like just weirdly open. The snow one, I always think of the first level on Halo where you're driving around the Warthog and everything's just kind of spread out.
You can just have like a stroll in the mountains.
So, and we did get lost a few times in this one. I definitely remember moments where we were like, wandering through a gray labyrinth that looked exactly the same as the last gray labyrinth, and we're like, where the fuck are we?
Did we get lost as much in the first
We
Halo?
did get lost in a couple levels of Halo 1, but it felt like more often I was like, okay, where the fuck do we go in this one?
I agree with that.
Not to an annoying degree, it's just something I noticed.
And another thing is I think we utilized toggling the graphics a few times to maybe try and figure that stuff out, because sometimes the design of a level in one version is more busy and kind of...
The remaster version is harder to orient yourself, for sure.
Sometimes I think it's vice versa.
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
I think the original, like the pre-remaster, is just brighter. Everything's just brighter in that game.
There's a lot of contrast in the textures.
Yeah.
Like, there's scenes where, like, rocks have a bunch of cracks in them in the original, where they're very smooth in the remaster. I kept noticing that.
I forgot to write this in the notes, but there are a lot of fucking random holes. Random pits of death in this game.
Oh, man. I'm so glad you brought this up.
You kind of just wonder, like, something will seem like it'll drop down to another layer or like another portion of the level, or like you won't even know, like it like the perspective of it tricks you in a way that you don't think that there's like a gigantic gap there.
My favorite
and then
thing
you
about
fall
this...
into a random fucking pit and die and lose your weapons or whatever.
My favorite thing about it is that I feel like I'm the one that has more issues with like repeat problems playing the game, but this was definitely more of a problem for you. You died a bunch falling down shit.
Yeah, it's just like you find yourself looking forward at the enemies and then walking into like a random pit in a standard geometry, like in places where it doesn't even make logical sense.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Some of that, but as a positive, I think more gameplay variety in each level. Like level by level in Halo 1, things get mixed up, especially in terms of environment. I think the range of environments in Halo 1 is much broader.
Yeah.
But in this, I mean, levels will switch multiple times from on foot to in a vehicle, back to on foot, and that happens regularly. I mean, it's almost in every level at some point you're driving a vehicle. Yeah. And I like those little mix-ups. They stave off boredom.
Was there more aerial combat in this?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Or was it just highlighted better? Because I think the aerial combat was kind of better.
In Halo 1, I only remember 2 distinct moments of aerial combat. So
yeah.
In this, there was definitely a lot more. Yeah, I would say 3 to 4 moments in which you're piloting a Banshee in this. Yeah, for sure.
A lot of new vehicles.
Yeah, new vehicles. Nothing really notable. The Pussy Mobile, as we called it, which is like the Spectre, the Scepter, or whatever.
Whatever the
new
neon
Covenant.
Yeah, the neon pink SUV.
Yeah,
Covenant.
The Covenant SUV. Put a boy in the back on the turret. Put a boy on the side to fucking honk at the grunts. And tell them
Does
to
a
move
Covenant
faster.
vehicle have a honking feature?
No, but the elites honk. They make like a honking noise.
Do they?
Yeah, like
Are you
they make like this weird fucking like I don't know.
You got flood on vehicles.
Yeah, that's true. We did notice flood drive now.
Did they not originally? I can't remember.
I don't recall any instances of flood.
We only acknowledged it here.
Yeah,
for sure, because it's just ridiculous looking.
It looks really stupid, but it is hilarious. And and kind of that's a decent segue into the game. Really does a good job of like slowly drip feeding variety in terms of like enemies, weapons. You're like, for instance, you start out the game, and the first thing that you are kind of directed to playing as the Master Chief is the battle rifle and the SMG.
Mm-hmm.
Like, those are the main 2 weapons that are featured on Cairo Station, and you're like, okay, cool, like, new shit.
Yeah.
And they don't overwhelm you. Like, it's not like, like each level you're basically being introduced to a new gun. It's midway through the game is when you get your first brute shot, right?
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So each level they're kind of showcasing something new, whether it's a weapon or an enemy or a vehicle or something. A game design aspect. They do a good job of, giving you a new concept even in the fucking last 3 acts or the last 3 missions of the game. Like, at what point do you like, it's pretty late when you start killing brutes for the first time. I feel like it's like almost halfway, right?
I think the pacing of the brutes in general, just like in the way that you just said, but just in general in the game, is so well done in this.
Yeah. Like, I'm struggling to remember if I feel like you fight them first as the Master Chief, but that's like about halfway into the game.
Yeah.
Like, they're not on Cairo. Like, they're
in cinematics. And
it's So anyway, cool. So the next part of this this podcast is where we'll kind of go level by level and kind of summarize some things and talk about each mission. This is going to be a long one, I think.
Yeah.
Settle in. Okay.
Get cozy.
Yes. So. The first official, like, finger quotes mission is the Heretic, which is a long-ass cutscene.
Yep.
And a good one.
We watched it in both versions.
Yes, we did. Arguably the best cutscene, for sure. I say arguably and then for sure. It's a good one. I was going to
say, there's no dispute there.
You say that, but we'll get to the close runner-up shortly.
Oh, yeah, your other favorite.
This one is...
this is my favorite.
I mean, in terms of, like, cinematography and really setting up the narrative, like, Halo 2 takes place just after, like, seemingly, literally just after the events of Halo 1. Mm-hmm. Like, you know, a week, maybe. You know, they don't explicitly give you a time in the game. I'm sure the wiki, somebody's filled in the blanks for us, but they don't. But yeah, it's soon after, and this is a cutscene where they kind of continuously switch between a heroic ceremony for Sergeant Johnson and Master Chief, as well as a fuck you from the Council and the hierarchs to the Arbiter, or who would character. Later become the Arbiter. Yeah.
A new character.
Yes. An elite who was responsible for dropping the ball heavy in Halo 1. Like, he, in the eyes of the hierarchs and the Council, he is a fucking heretic because he fucked up so bad.
Yeah, because the Halo was destroyed.
Like, for sure. He did his job so poorly, they're not just firing him, he's like being convicted of a crime.
Yeah.
Like, it's hilarious.
It's a little dramatic.
It's a little dramatic, and they actually address that in the narrative a little bit. But yeah, so this is a beautiful cutscene, and it's directed really well.
Mm-hmm.
And you get more world building for the Covenant. Like, you get to see their...
It's its own little short film, almost.
Yeah, for sure. You get some nice... you get a peek into the Covenant life, something that you don't get a lot. And, you know, this is your first introduction to the Brutes as well. Like, Tartarus is there.
Yeah.
Scoffing at the Arbiter as he is stripped of his rank and title and literally stripped naked in front of everyone and then branded a heretic, literally branded.
Yeah, this being like the first point where you see the Brutes.
Yeah.
I think they're highlighted just the right amount.
Yes.
Like, you basically, you don't learn a lot about them. I mean, you learn a bit about Tartarus as a leader. But,
yeah.
But it's very subtle. I like it a lot.
Yeah, he seems like a real motherfucker, for sure. Like, he's kind of a dick. Yeah, so you get a good cutscene here, and Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
Ron Perlman's in it.
Yep. On the Chief side.
Yes.
Yeah, he's
yes, he is. Voice? I looked this up. Apparently his character's name is Lord Hood. Although I don't recall anyone ever referring to him as Lord Hood. But yeah, so there you go.
I don't believe you.
It's a bit of trivia for you, Lord Hood.
Actually, that's bullshit, but I believe you.
Yeah, thank you. You should, because it is the goddamn truth.
All right. But Ron Perlman sounds cool.
Yes. Ron Perlman is in a game.
I like him in my video games.
Yes, and he apparently doesn't care one fucking flying fuck about being in them, according to that Reddit AMA he did.
I'd prefer to live in a world where I don't know about that.
I know. He was, yeah. Anyway, we won't get into that. So,
that's for the Ron Perlman podcast.
Keith David is the Arbiter, who also amazing. And yeah, so the progression of events here is basically, you get the ceremonies, the respective ceremonies on each side, the heresy ceremony and the heroic ceremony, and then there's a random attack on Cairo Station, which is where the Chief and Johnson and everybody are.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, we talked about this a little bit. There doesn't seem to be a reason for the Covenant to attack Cairo Station, other than, I guess, it's near Earth and they're attacking Earth.
Yeah.
Are they intending to imply this is the first time the Covenant have approached Earth?
Ooh.
Because they're kind of just like, oh shit, here they are, and Cairo Station's really nearby Earth, and they kind of make it seem like that isn't a thing. I don't know. It's weird.
Like, it hasn't happened before?
Maybe, because...
Did you read any of the books or any of the...
I did, but it's been literal years.
Okay.
Like, it's been 10 years.
I always thought the books were specifically about that.
They definitely are. Okay. Yeah, they definitely... I mean, not all of them, but they touch on a lot of this stuff.
Okay.
They touch on...
Interesting.
They remove the mystery of everything.
Okay, so possibly the first strike of the Covenant.
Yes, definitely. And the first strike of the Covenant is Reach, like, as in overall.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the literal first... So, which isn't long before this in the timeline, so I don't fucking know. But it's a war, so the Covenant shows up and they're like, hey, we're ready to fuck. And the Marines are definitely not ready to fuck.
But Chief's like, I need a weapon.
Yeah. So
he's ready to fuck.
Ron Perlman tells Master Chief to defend this station, and
he has one condition.
What's that?
Give me a weapon. That's his condition.
I need a... Yeah, true. That is true. Yes, so you do. You defend the station. This level's pretty good. It takes you through some corridor environments and some more open environments. When I think of this level, I always think of that open kind of, not greenhouse, but it's like where there's a bunch of palm trees inside,
mm-hmm.
and it's relatively open. There's like some platforms and there's a machine gun nest. I call it a machine gun, but
yeah,
not really. But yeah, it's. I always think of that part of this level when I think of this level.
Mm-hmm.
Is that ringing any bells?
Kind of. For me, like I just keep going back to the fact that it's such a good reflection of the first part of the first Halo.
In the sense that it's the Covenant attacking a position that you're in.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah, and you're in a ship, space, whatever.
Yeah.
I could see that, and it acts as a good introduction to the game, for sure. And
it's the first time we meet the bugs.
The first time we meet the bugs, which we were not even going to talk about because they suck shit. You're like in an elevator shaft, and I don't know, it's lame. Anything else notable about this level to you? It's kind of just, defend the station, and you do. I mean, there's the outdoor section, which we talked about a little bit, sucking.
Yeah.
You go
being out in space.
Yeah, you go
and then
out
you kind of never do it again.
And then we were trying to think if there's another point in this game at all where you're out in the vacuum of space, and I don't think so.
Where you're not in a cinematic.
There's no...
Does it happen again in Halo 3? Maybe, I mean, we'll find out, but...
Yeah, I don't know. But
maybe that's why I'm thinking it happens again.
Maybe. There's I'm sure it does in another game, but in this game, no.
It's not great.
No, it's cool that they drown out the sound, but...
Oh, yeah.
But... Yeah, it's not very much fun. You get to laugh at the stupidity of the jetpack elites as they're really dumb looking.
Yeah, I don't know, fighting flying enemies in general.
Yeah.
Not a big fan of.
Yeah, part of why the bugs suck so much.
Yeah.
Yes, so, and this kind of segues into a good cutscene where you give the Covenant back their bomb.
Mm-hmm.
Which is the exact line that Master Chief says to Ron Perlman just before flying the bomb out into space and kicking it into a Covenant cruiser.
Mm-hmm. And reactivating it without knowing how much time is left.
Yes. So the Covenant brought a bomb on the station with them, and you... Not only does it not work, but it works negative.
It.
Yeah, you disarm it, and you give it back to them. So, it's a cool cutscene.
It's pretty cool. Visually, watching this in comparison with the original one, I feel like it's more clear what's going on in the remaster.
Yeah.
There's a lot more, color usage, and we were talking about how, I think they try to distinguish the ship that he kicks it towards a little bit more.
As, being an abnormally large Covenant ship. There's some dialogue to reflect that in both versions, but it looks a lot different in this one than it did in the first one.
Yeah.
It looks bigger. It looks more imposing, for sure.
The scene overall is just really cool.
Yeah. And then you wind up on a ship headed to Earth, to defend Earth.
I think we both liked this, the Earth levels.
Yes, for sure. So the next level is Outskirts, which is I think my favorite.
Really?
It's a really good one. This is the cutscene that I would say rivals the opening, which is the one where Sergeant Johnson makes fun of the Prophet of Regret's name.
Mm-hmm.
It's a message coming from the Prophet of Regret that just repeats the term regret, I guess.
Yeah.
Or something.
And over again.
Yeah, I don't know.
Johnson has some choice words about that.
Yeah, he calls them alien bastards and says that the message is intended to say that we regret that the Corps just kicked our raggedy ass fleet. Hoorah! Yes. So I love this cutscene. It's shot really well. There's the pace of it. The Pelicans are flying, through the city. It's very Black Hawk Down-ish.
And being destroyed by the Scarab.
Yeah. So the Scarab comes out and blows them the fuck away. And
possibly my favorite Covenant vehicle. I don't know. I really love Banshees, but the Scarab is really cool.
The Scarab is so funny because it's really dumb and impractical as like a creation.
It reminds me of that like spider thing from Wild Wild West.
Yeah. Yes.
Like why? What does it even? I feel like a Wraith can do the amount of... I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, it just feels like
it's just fun.
They act like it's so ridiculously strong, but it seems to be limited in like mobility and I don't know. It is cool looking and destroying it is fun. But...
You know the other thing. One last thing on the Scarab. It really reminds me of enemy design in Half-Life or Half-Life 2, just because most of the Covenant stuff. It's like more like an actual vehicle, but this thing has almost like an organic element to it, even though it isn't.
Sure.
It is a machine, but it almost looks like it's its own creature, you know?
It's a Zoid.
Yeah, and a lot of the other Covenant stuff doesn't really seem that way to me.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it has... It's probably the only Covenant thing that has like a animal basis.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Its existence. Yeah, I could see that. I could definitely see that. So yeah, good mission. Good mission. You really they flip the script on you for sure. Like it's the pretty much the first full on city feel in a Halo game between 1 and 2. Like you do some regular ass Black Hawk Down style block by block fighting.
Yeah. You get to see the redesign of the hunters.
Yeah, they do look different. And I think you get... I think this is my favorite level because you get a good feel for just how much the Covenant are kicking our asses.
Yeah.
Like, the city is pretty much abandoned, and it does not look good. It doesn't look great. They're really taking it to us, and it sells just how much everybody needs the Master Chief. For sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I really love the stuff that happens on Earth. I think that it recontextualizes the fighting a bit. It's stuff that at that point you were just kind of imagining.
Yeah. And
this is sort of your first experience actually like playing through that. You
know
what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. And so you fight block by block. The goal of this mission is basically to win this fight. I mean, win this little battle in the city.
Yeah.
I think they kind of imply that it's intended to, clear enemies out of the city, maybe destroy the Scarab. Mm-hmm. You kind of wind up following just a random path and happenstance running back into the Scarab at the end of the next mission. But it's really cool. I like this mission a lot, and the environment of this city is divided into two. You basically do a long on foot section and outskirts, and then Metropolis comes after, and the mission divider is basically a cutscene where Sergeant Johnson drops off a Scarab tank, and says, "I know what the ladies like," because Cortana loves tanks. Apparently,
she says that the Chief never gets her anything.
Yeah, and that's probably because the Chief... I mean, listen. Halo Reach, the book, really gets into a lot about the Master Chief's origins. He was not a ladies' man before.
Oh.
In fact, he was a child.
Oh, okay.
There was like some accelerated aging shit here. I don't know. So
wow.
He likely does not know what the ladies like.
Okay, so that's why he didn't bring a tank.
He's probably a virgin.
Oh, how embarrassing. How embarrassing for him.
Yeah.
Oh. Disgusting.
It helps me relate to him because we both are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
No. Yes, so... drops off a tank. Sergeant Johnson drops off a tank and says, "Fucking use this," and you do. I let you drive the tank.
Thank you.
You killed me for sure.
Yeah, that's how I returned
probably more than once. And you it's a long driving sequence in this mission. You drive some tanks. Well, a tank for a while. I was in a Warthog, kind of putzing around as is normal.
This is the first time you get to get in a Wraith, right?
I think you can.
Can
for
you
sure.
in Halo? I can't remember.
You can. I believe you. I don't fucking remember. In Halo 1, I think you can get an Wraith, but I really don't recall.
Weird.
But you can get an Wraith in this level, yes. But I mean, why would you? The Scorpion tank is a better. Wraith is shit compared to the Scorpion. I didn't
enjoy my time with it.
They're like as strong as each other, and the Wraith is like really dumb looking, and it's kind of fun as like it's like an artillery. It like shoots in an arc.
It has the same silhouette as that one tank thing from the Phantom Menace in my head, like
the Gungan.
Yeah, exactly.
Tank thing. Yeah,
you imagined it, so it has that weird kind of sloped front.
Okay.
It has a more rapid fire sort of thing than the tank.
Yes,
which kind of comes in handy. I was utilizing that a little bit, especially fighting against ghosts. You can kind of, I don't know. I don't hate it as much as you do. I think I kind of like the Wraith. Yeah, I kind of like using it.
It's cool. I wouldn't say I hate it. I think that's pretty strong. But compared to the Scorpion tank, why would you drive it?
I guess
if you get to choose. But I agree.
Also has that little boost. I don't know.
Yeah. And you do spend a decent amount of time driving tanks or a tank early on, and killing other tanks, killing enemies. You go on the highway for a bit with some warthogs, and this mission feels a little aimless. Mm-hmm. This is why a lot of the plot in Halo 2 feels like it blurs together, because it almost feels like things just happen randomly or by chance. Like you're just driving around seemingly aimlessly, and then you go through the highway, you go through the beach, and then you kind of just run back into the Scarab, and somebody goes, "We should fucking destroy that thing."
Yeah. What is that? Ludonarrative dissonance?
Yeah, but that doesn't. Let's not. That's a fucking meme. That's like saying it's a mixed bag.
I was more so trying to clarify my own understanding of what people usually use that for.
The usage for that is
it's just like basically things happen because they need to.
No. You're thinking of Deus Ex Machina.
Oh. That's the same word.
Yes. No, ludonarrative dissonance is used to describe like Booker DeWitt in the BioShock Infinite, where he's like, I really hate that I kill people, and then he fucking murders like 900 people.
Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty.
That's
like
too.
The gameplay is at odds with the narrative of the game.
Okay.
I don't think that's the case here, because the narrative of the game, well, overall, if you're going to boil it down simply, it's there's a war and you're there to win it, right?
Okay.
But the actual little plot moments in this game seem to happen at just sort of random. So so you kind of drive around, you get to the Scarab, you fucking blow that piece of shit right up in a cool sequence where you jump on its back and go inside and blow up the generator, and I always go inside.
I was gonna say, your description of how you destroy this thing makes it, like, my comments about it being almost like more alive. It's kind of creepy. You go inside of it and you destroy it.
Like most things, it's easier to destroy it from the inside out. You do that, and the next bit of this is a bit odd. So you're on Earth, and we actually forgot to talk about this, but you're on Earth, right? You're in the city. You've destroyed the Scarab. You get back on the ship. I believe Miranda Keyes' ship, a character we haven't even mentioned yet because she's so fucking unimportant.
But she was in the opening.
She was in the opening. Who gives a fuck? And Miranda Keyes,
daughter of Captain
Keyes,
who had the funniest fate in the original.
Yep. Sadly, her dad got punched to death by you. I wonder if you told her about that. I'm sorry, but
Did you really kill him?
I murdered your dad. Yeah.
I mean, well, yeah, but
he was suffering. So you put him out of his misery. But yes, you literally punch his face in. The man is a machine.
That's my favorite quote from the first podcast.
Yeah, he feels nothing. So yes, you Miranda Keyes, I believe her ship is the Enamber Clad, if I'm not mistaken, which is a good.
That's a cool name.
Fucking ship name.
That's a really
in
cool
Halo.
Name.
Always good ship names. Like
Halo has a lot of good ship names.
Yeah, Pillar of Autumn, good ship name.
It's cool in the opening scene. We didn't even mention it, but when the Arbiter, before he's the Arbiter, is talking to the council, he references the Pillar of Autumn, I think.
Yeah.
And it's kind of cool to hear it in that context, too.
Yes. Yeah, man. All good ship names. So you rejoin, it seems, the Miranda Keys and everybody on the Pillar of Autumn, and you realize that the I guess it's the Prophet of Regrets cruiser is about to jump into slip space, like do like a hyperspeed thingy in the boundary of the city, which literally annihilates the city.
This scene is so cool.
Yeah, it's a good cutscene.
I completely forgot
basically
about
the
this.
Enamberclad has to catch up to the ship in order to join it in that slip space rupture before it annihilates everything. And one thing that we, I think, touched on at the time was we were like, so does that mean every Marine we were just alongside in that city just got fucking vaporized? Because it basically drops a nuke in the middle of that city.
Yeah. I can't remember if this is like referenced again. Maybe they talk about it in 3 or something.
Yeah. Well, and they definitely reference the destruction of the city.
Yeah.
Because it seems unusually cruel for the Covenant to do this. Like they really could have just left the atmosphere of the planet. And
is it unusually cruel for them?
In the sense that everyone is kind of surprised that they're doing it. So it almost seems like they're in a rush for some reason. I don't know.
Yeah.
But when they leave that slip space rupture, they are at the Halo. They come to the new Halo.
New Halo.
Halo 2.
Surprise.
The second one. Yeah.
There's two of them.
There's two Halos.
Currently.
So yeah, and plot-wise, it really speeds things up. That's a phrase we say a lot when referencing the plot of Halo 2.
Yeah.
In that,
this event really speeds things up.
Yeah, it things go from 0 to 2 because suddenly people realize that there's a second Halo, I guess. And yeah, it's so anyway. So they kind of leave things there for the Chief and cut back to our new character, the Arbiter, where he is being crowned the Arbiter at this moment.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, the hierarchs kick him while he's down and say, hey, we know you're fucking useless at commanding men, but you don't seem so useless at murdering some dudes.
Yeah.
So why don't we do that? We're gonna... Basically, they hire him as an intergalactic assassin to go and fucking shut down some heretic shit on some remote corner of the world.
Yeah, and he's wondering why they didn't just kill him. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah,
like, you start to peek into their internal motivations.
Yeah, there's a lot of politics going on here, and you can tell that... the Arbiter basically exists as a martyr in Covenant lore.
Yeah.
He's basically, in times of need for the Covenant, the Arbiter does the impossible.
Yeah, the extreme.
Yeah.
At no care to his own
yeah,
self.
Yeah. They are basically like, the shit that you're gonna do here is fucking suicidal, man. So.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... This is a cool introduction for the Arbiter as the playable character, because at this point you don't really know you're going to be playing as him. They just kind of keep cutting back to him, and you get a good cutscene where he's on the drop ship with all the other elites, and they have like they have like their own oorah moment.
Yeah.
There's a little speech from Mandible's guy, who's missing half of his face.
Also has a very good voice.
Just a solid bro.
Yeah.
Solid pal.
Yeah, he's pretty cool. He has my favorite line in the game, which
Yeah,
I'm not going to spoil yet, but that puts him up there for me.
For sure. And yeah, so the mission here is to... it says... It refers to it as a Forerunner facility, so I don't know if that implies that it's on Halo.
Well, this kind of... Yeah, because this is where 343 gets reintroduced.
Yes.
And so it's kind of interesting why he's there.
Yeah, it's... I mean...
How did he get there?
Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
But so basically, there's a sect of heretics hiding out in this facility and spreading their bullshit lies about what the rings are.
The Covenant is fake news.
Yeah, exactly. Which turns out to, of course, all be true. But
no, because he shuts it off the message before.
Yes, but it turns out, I mean, later in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, so actually we kind of skipped over this part where, very conveniently, one of the hierarchs is like playing this guy's video message
For the Arbiter to get him pumped to kick ass.
Yeah, they basically set him up as like the Covenant Alex Jones. Yes, brothers, the frogs are gay. No, they really like.
And as soon as he's about to talk some real sense,
yeah, they gaslight this guy as a fucking madman, and then he's basically like, and the true meaning of the great journey is, and then they conveniently pause it right there.
Yeah,
I think it's weird that nobody in the room finds that odd.
Yeah, the Arbiter's like, fair enough.
Yeah, I didn't want to hear that shit anyway. Like,
I just wanted to hear the crazy shit.
Exactly. Like, they convenient pause there. And
this is the guy you're set out to kill.
Yes, and you're gonna go murder that man. And so the environment here is really cool. It's like a hurricane.
Yeah.
It's like a weird storm. It's a sky storm.
Why is the structure here?
Great question. Why is anything anywhere in Halo? Like, honestly, like, this is here, but it doesn't serve any real
We're going to be
purpose.
totally wrong. The's going to be some wiki page about how it's
definitely
like mining shit from the air or something.
Oh, I'm sure it is. We're 100% wrong about everything, is what I'm going to learn. But, yes, so you're just here to kill this guy, and like I said, again, things seem to happen by chance or at random.
Yeah.
Like you show up in this bitch to murder this man, and 343 Guilty Spark is here with this guy.
This is where you do first use the energy sword, right?
Yes, you start with it.
And it's really cool because they want you to feel like an assassin with this thing.
Yes.
In this stage.
You can turn invisible.
Yeah. How did we glaze over that? That's so cool.
Well, we didn't. This is the first time you can do it.
Yeah,
so
no, I mean, like, it's important to me.
Yeah,
I love this aspect of this.
You can turn invisible, and it has a pretty generous, lengthy time that you're allowed to be invisible. And I think, interestingly, they expect you to almost, like, do this a lot, like engage the enemy from stealth.
Yeah.
Because, like, the instant you shoot, you're visible again. So it's basically like sneak into the room, get into a good position, and then start murdering dudes and surprise them.
It's super interesting to me how and you know, they could turn invisible in the first game.
Yes.
Yeah. This really does highlight, like, how much of a Predator influence there is on their art direction. You know, the four mouths and the turning invisible.
Mandibles and whatever. Yeah.
They have a more kind of, like, versatile movement about them. I don't know.
Yeah. The elites are the coolest part about Halo and the Covenant.
Which makes that brute elite dynamic super interesting when it comes about.
Yeah, the elites are just fucking cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
They're just cool enemies.
And you get to know more about them in this story.
Yeah, and you know, they so kind of back to the gameplay stuff, we really didn't use this very much, honestly. We kind of did in this level, the invisibility thing, but we really didn't wind up.
It's a novelty.
Yeah, I think so. As sad as that is to say, it's really cool, but it's just not that useful.
We used it on grunts just because it's funny. And
yeah. So this, I don't love this level. I mean, it's fine. It's okay.
I like this.
A lot of corridors, and a lot of the rooms look the fucking same, and you wind up just kind of, shooting some Covenant as Covenant. Yeah. I think this is the first time that you get the carbine.
Yeah. A weapon we both like.
Yes. And it's fun, but it feels kind of samey. Probably the best part of this mission is jumping in the Banshees and doing some dogfighting.
Yeah, that's my favorite part of it. And the music.
Rock music.
Yeah. It really picks up.
Yeah.
And then you can alternate to the old version where something is playing or nothing. Something very quiet.
Yeah. The old graphics here, the music is mixed way down for sure.
It's interesting how, like, even though they changed, like, the graphics of these different stages, you can tell that they're thinking, oh, this would be so much better if it was just louder. You know?
Yeah.
Like, this level's already really good. What if our music was, like, suiting that? You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. And we obviously spent a lot more time in the new graphics in this one than we did in Halo 1.
Yeah.
For sure. I think the art direction here is stronger in the remaster.
Yeah, the frame rate versus, like, artistic trade-off.
Yeah.
That bargain was harder here.
Yes. The frame rate in the remastered graphics is obviously not 100% solid, but it is better. And it just feels like they had a better feeling for like what Bungie was going for.
Yeah.
Like the first Halo remaster, there were a lot of moments where we would switch on the remaster and we're just like, this just looks weird. Like, this doesn't look like what I imagine this and what I think of when I think of this environment.
I remember my specific issues with it were most of the flood areas, because the original is very dark and ambient.
Yeah.
With the flood areas, and the lighting is very moody and kind of purple. And then in the remaster, it's just really bright. It's almost like it gets turned into like a jungle.
Yeah.
It looked a lot more alien. And
yeah, it was.
In this, they almost improve some of the.
They do.
Yeah.
It seems like they have the same vision that Bungie had originally.
The artistic direction looks more alien.
It feels updated as opposed to changed.
Yeah.
I think is the best
That's a good way to
the
put
best way I can think of, because it's strong, and I think in this Storm level, very evident, because nothing like the lighting doesn't really change all that much. It's really just it looks new.
Yeah,
it looks 2018.
I agree with that.
Well, or 2014.
It looked like 2018 back in 2014.
Yes, exactly. Very, very forward looking for sure. Yeah, no. So you do some dogfighting in the Banshees, and that's probably a good spot to say that, you know, the latter half of this level is the better part, because you land, you kill some more guys, and then there's a quick kind of break where there's a cutscene that goes, we're in a new mission now, and the Flood is here.
Yeah, Flood's introduction is just not as great as the original.
It's pretty much just
how
like...
could it be, but...
Yeah, I mean, that's a hard thing to beat, but it's like, oh, the Flood's here.
They're just here.
Yeah, oh, fuck, alright. I think at one point the mandibles guy goes, I know that smell.
And so do we.
Yeah, and
we can't even
of course
smell
we
anything.
do. Yeah, we can't smell it, but we know what he means.
Yeah,
I know that
him
smell.
saying that.
That's the smell of a shitty enemy. Yeah. Yeah.
So true.
The Flood, still not fun to fight. I mean, they're cool. They're cool in concept, but man, they really fucking suck. The Flood do not get any notable changes as far as like as enemies.
Mm-hmm.
Like the unit, like, so there's still the big ball sacks.
Yeah.
You still get the little bulbous fuckers,
The squids.
the tentacles, and then the zombified versions of the various enemies.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything is the same.
Well, the even in Halo 2, like before the remaster, the art direction for the Flood changes, regardless of which version you're looking at. They go from being very like, I always think that the infection forms kind of look like little lamps.
Yeah.
Like they kind of like glow, and this is when the art sort of changes to a more like kind of flesh tone horror kind of look.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so the Flood kind of visually looks different, but mechanically
they become more obviously parasites. For sure. They
seem more like bugs in the original.
Yeah, they were like a fungus or something. Yeah, it's weird. Yes, so you fight the Flood here. I think their biggest new trick is that they use swords now and weapons. Did they shoot in the first one?
This whole episode is us trying to remember Halo 1. Because it was so long ago.
I mean, fuck. They shoot a lot in this. They really fuck you up. Yeah, they definitely did use guns in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Marine ones, and yeah, anyway. They really fuck you up in this one. Like, there's a lot of... they feel like they use weapons more effectively.
Yeah.
Particularly, like, the sword and the shotgun and stuff like that.
When this game uses continuous spawning to influence you to leave an area, I think the Flood is like the biggest annoyance.
I mean, it's true to their lore, which is that they're overwhelming.
Yeah.
You can't. There's really no way to fight back because there's always dead bodies to take over.
So in real life, you'd be pretty annoyed too.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah. You'd be like, wow, this really sucks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why did I do this?
Yeah, which is exactly how I felt playing this game at this point. Why did I do this to myself again, a second time? Yes, so you basically play through a lot of the same corridors. Everything looks the fucking same, except this time there's the Flood, and then you track down the Oracle, or I'm sorry, you track down the heretic,
Yeah.
and the oracle's with him. You don't quite know that yet, but there's a good little cutscene here with your favorite line, where
come out so that we may kill you.
Yeah, the heretic is talking shit at you, and he's a hologram, and so Mandibles feels the need to really fucking put his massive dick out on the table.
The line is just so great because he makes nobody makes any like proper response other than just fuck you.
Yeah, there's no like he literally is so sure of this happening that he's just like, just come out so like
we can get this over with and go home.
Yeah, like I want to be with my wife and kids. Like
I want to get a 6-pack and just
chill,
hang out on the couch.
Yeah. He so just another great reason why Mandibles is arguably the best character in this game.
The reason to play this game.
Yeah. So you proceed in a fashion where basically the heretic has locked himself in his bedroom. He doesn't want to come out.
Yeah.
He
doesn't want to entertain tonight.
It's the equivalent of like your roommates inviting over a bunch of people that you don't want to hang out with, so you just stay in your room.
Wow, I can't really relate to that. Can you?
Absolutely.
Oh.
Yes, you do that a lot. So, and so to convince him to come out of his room, similarly to the metaphor where you fucking make a lot of noise and potentially bang on their door, you decide to cut the cables that hold this station like in air.
Okay, so now you know what to do.
And now I know what to do.
You basically have to.
No, this would be what you do, actually, if this metaphor is holding true.
Yeah.
You fight. This is another thing about Halo 2 levels that I think at least are a little bit more interesting, is that there's a lot more verticality in them.
Mm-hmm.
You spend a lot more time moving upward, not just like via elevators or something,
mm-hmm.
or whatever. There's a lot more moments where you're climbing. You're ascending.
Yeah, rather than a lot of moments in the first one where it feels like you're just going through a maze back and forth.
Yeah, you're just walking forward.
Yeah,
definitely.
That's interesting. I didn't really think about that.
But yeah, so you ascend to the top of the station, sever the cables holding it in place,
mm-hmm.
all the while fighting the Flood and the Covenant and whatever. Or not the Covenant, the Heretics. This is fine. This is fine. Once you sever the cables of the station, the heretic leaves his room and flees. And then you literally get to play the entire previous level, but in reverse.
Ugh. How fun.
Which is my least favorite thing that Bungie does ever in a Halo game.
And surprise, you fight the Flood here again, right?
Yeah, you fight the Flood.
So just a double pack of everything fun about Halo.
Yeah, you get to fly the same section of Banshees over again.
Yeah. Well, you just didn't get to really experience it the first time.
No.
You got to do it twice to really enjoy it.
This is Halo 2, so rule of twos. Everything happens twice. And then there's a boss fight, which I think we both agree is probably one of the more underwhelming things about Halo 2 is all the boss fights.
I like my thing with this whole arc is that I like more about the cinematics and story than the actual gameplay of it.
Yeah.
And in this moment, you're about to hear a little bit more about the story and about Halo from the Oracle, but you're interrupted and fighting happens.
Yeah. There's a cutscene where you basically barge in on the heretic is like, hey fam, what if I just fucking leave? And he's continuing the metaphor from earlier, which I'm sure no one is sick of. He's like, okay, I hate all of these people at my fucking house right now, so I'm just going to go somewhere else. So he's like halfway out the door when you try to engage him in conversation.
Yeah.
Like
and by this point he's over reasoning.
Yeah, he's very upset.
Yeah, he could explain.
He's about to fly away in some sort of vehicle, and you go, brother, fuck you. Let's talk this out. Let's figure out what's going on here. And he has the light bulb with him. He has the oracle with him, and it turns out to be 343 Guilty Spark again, which everybody's favorite character, certainly mine. Nothing annoying about this motherfucker, and why is he even here?
I found him more annoying in the first game, but yeah,
definitely. But I mean, he just they could have just as easily had a new oracle, new voice, new name, which they do later in the game. They show another oracle.
Isn't it the same voice though?
No. It's not. Penitent Faith or whatever, the one that the Gravemind has captive.
Oh yeah.
I mean, like it's just so odd that 343 gets to come back for some reason. It's basically just them going, remember this motherfucker?
Yeah, it's something about his snark that can be a little bit annoying, but it's very toned down in this. In this, he's just kind of the voice of reason.
Yeah, the reason on behalf of activating the rings, but yeah, I mean, he's here basically as the information dump, but not for the player this time. Like, he was the information dump for the player and Master Chief simultaneously in the last one. In this case, the player knows everything that he's gonna say.
Well, it's like a mechanism to show you how the Arbiter is gonna learn about the story. So
basically, like, the heretic's like, listen to the Oracle, ask him a question and he'll tell you some shit, and then you go to ask him a question and the heretic goes, just kidding, I'm gonna fight you now, and you're like, what? But why?
Yeah. And
you do. His whole conceit is that he uses those holograms that he had earlier where you said come out so that we may kill you, except he uses them as like a boss fight mechanic.
Doesn't work very well.
They all fly around, but we mistakenly found him like 30 seconds into this fight, and I was shooting him in the ass, and you sorted him from the front, and he was killed like instantaneously. The least climactic thing that could possibly happen. And then there's a cutscene where you get your mom comes to pick you up
from school,
from your friend's house, and that
from your friend's house.
Yeah, and that ends that, I guess. It's weird because Jesus, so like you kill the heretic and then it I don't recall the framing for what occurs next in the Arbiter's story. It's basically like you go home.
Yeah.
You go home, it cuts
wife.
Yeah, exactly. You go home to your wife. It cuts back to the chief here, and you're gonna land on Halo. Mm-hmm. You're gonna land on Halo for the first time in Halo 2 as the chief. Mm-hmm. So you're in the Amber Clad, and you're dropping down with the ODSTs, which I believe they reference them as ODSTs in this. And they do have cool armor, cool helmet, cool ODST shit.
Did you feel like they were of help in this segment?
No, they're shit. Okay. The AI in Halo is often praised for being good in the sense that it is capable of a lot of complex tasks,
especially with the Covenant.
Yeah, especially, I mean, in general, even the humans. I mean, they can drive you. That's the first time. This is the first one where they can drive you around, right? I don't think they could. Fuck it. I say that a lot.
Yeah.
I don't think they could in Halo 1. Fucking who knows? I don't remember.
Literally everything that we thought wasn't in Halo 1.
It probably is. Yeah. But they drive you around. I mean, the AI is not bad. It would be bad to say that it is bad. But it's... the ODSTs die just as easily as regular Marines.
Yeah.
And are just as effective against the Covenant, which is to say not very. So, it's they look cool.
Yeah.
And this cutscene is cool, where you're in the drop pod and you Sergeant Johnson bangs something outside of your pod, and you guys have a moment where you think about maybe getting together.
There's a lot of really good Chief/Johnson moments in this game.
Yeah, for sure. Like always.
Yeah, even in the opening, like cinematic and everything. Yeah. Their relationship is kind of cool.
They have good banter.
For sure.
They're well portrayed. Yeah, their relationship is cool. They have mutual respect there, for sure.
You told me you were going to wear something nice.
Yeah.
That's a good line.
Yes.
He only wears that suit.
Yeah,
it's really funny.
Badoom. He never takes the fucking thing off.
So, he probably didn't say he would wear something
It probably smells bad.
Yeah, how does that thing clean itself? We were talking about all of the, like, verticality in this game, and I think when we were playing it, we were making fun of, like, how if you were in that situation, you'd probably vomit. What does the chief do in that situation? Does he just not get nauseous?
He's a super guy.
They don't get nauseous?
Like, the Spartans are, like, biologically engineered to be fuckers. So, like, they really... It's even arguable if the chief feels, like, emotions. Like, yeah, the books go into this a lot. More than you want, trust me. But, yeah, I mean, he probably does not feel nausea or like, sickness.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting. So, yeah, you use a cool-ass drop pod similarly to... I feel like this pod has existed in some other fiction before, but I can't think of it right now. In my brain, the Book of Starship Troopers basically describes this pod.
Yeah, I was wondering if you would because it's a little bit different in the movie, but in the book, there's, I think on most like wikis when it comes to Halo, there's like a reference that book is the first time that this is like in science fiction media, which is probably wrong, but that's the one that gets mentioned, Starship Troopers.
Yeah, and similarly, it seems about as dangerous here.
Yeah, I think there's a mention in the book of like, you know, when it's happening, some are like exploding and stuff.
Yeah,
they're like super unsafe and impractical.
and like at some point, if you're like kind of oriented wrong in the pod when it lands, like you could just easily be fine as like your spine shooting through the top of your head. Like it's just weird shit like that. Like that book is really grim, and I it's been a long time since I've read it, but. And I think they mentioned something similar in the books, in the Halo books as well.
Happening like in the
yeah. But yes, so you drop pod down onto the surface. You wind up in kind of a mountainous region. This level is called Delta Halo, and I think it marks.
That's a cool name for a level.
Kind of, yeah, it is. It is, and it marks a big change in the narrative from, sort of aimless wandering for the chief to now I have a thing to do.
Yeah,
like you're there to assassinate a motherfucker, and that motherfucker is the Prophet of Regret. So you're gonna do that, and you basically spend this mission traipsing through this mountainous region to get closer to the Prophet of Regret so you can kill him.
Yeah, and getting bamboozled along the way with a hologram.
Yeah, well, yeah. So, I guess kind of to briefly touch on gameplay stuff for this level, like it's you do a lot of just like the chief levels up till now. You start out on foot, you assault kind of like a ruined structure, and then you jump in a tank / other vehicle like Ghost or whatever, and drive your happy ass across the map to another on foot section. I like this level.
I like it too.
I like this level a lot. I really don't have any complaints about this. The couple of levels here for Chief.
I don't have a lot of complaints for Chief levels in general.
Yeah, most of them are pretty good. Well, there's a couple of bad ones coming up that we'll talk about, but yeah, I do agree. And you get. I think part of why the Chief levels are so good is that the environment is so nice. Like this is just nice to walk around in.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anything with a setting like this, I tend to really enjoy in this game because again, it's like the remaster just does such a better job of this sort of environment. Than the first one.
Yeah.
Like it was usually those environments in the first one where I found myself not really caring when we switched back to the old graphics.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, just. Really cool environment. Just, yeah, it's a good level.
Yeah, so really not much to say. Like, not a lot happens. It's just a lot of shooting and shooting and scooting. There's a little break here in the middle where you get to a ruined structure, and Cortana very briefly, like mentions that, oh, he's saying some shit. I don't remember what it is. Talking about the Great Journey. I think this is kind of where... we realize that Cortana is translating.
Yeah.
Like, she, like, snaps her fingers and suddenly he's talking in English. It's very odd. It's an odd moment, and this is like a plot hole, basically. It's because you always hear them in English, like, every Covenant.
Yeah.
But...
It's like, what do you prefer? The idea that this alien species speaks perfect English?
Yeah.
And does it, like, internally, not when humans are around, or that somehow... Because it doesn't make sense when other people are present. If they maintain something where like you only know that this is happening like from the Chief's perspective, but they do it in ways that don't make sense because other characters that wouldn't have Cortana as an asset
can understand,
right?
Yeah, it's weird, and I'm sure that maybe the aliens do know English and choose to speak it at humans.
Yeah,
like the Arbiter and Johnson communicate.
That would be acceptable.
At some point. Yeah, but it is just odd here that they go through the trouble of showing this, but not really addressing how at any other moment the Chief understands the what the Covenant is saying, either with or without Cortana. It's odd. But yeah, so and then it cuts to so Delta Halo is kind of that level, and then it cuts to the level called Regret, where you're fighting your way further across this planet. You get to ride on some gondolas. There's a lot of like sniper alley points in this where you're in big wide open spaces where there are a lot of jackal snipers and you're given a sniper, and
I didn't use that gun very much. It was here and there. I don't know.
I used it when it was necessary. They do a good job of giving you a weapon right before you're going to need it.
Yeah.
They give you a sniper rifle, and you kind of know that you're about to encounter some other enemy snipers.
And you can use it to kind of clear out an area, thin it out a little bit before you
before you go in. Yeah. So yeah, and basically this culminates in you killing the Prophet of Regret. There's a cool sequence where you're like, I know we have our own thoughts about the actual fight itself, but there's a cool sequence where the terrain changes. Like you're kind of, you go from this mountainous, ruiny region to like open ocean on like a gondola.
Yeah.
And then you kind of descend through this structure, through like a Bioshock-esque water elevator.
Yeah.
Down into like an underwater hideout, basically.
This is where all of the graphics budget went.
Yeah. They spent all their money on this,
making this water look
sequence. Awesome. And the Regret's hiding out down here, and you punch him to death.
It's, and I guess it isn't really a spoiler, but the boss fights in this I really don't care about, but at the very least, like, this is... How do you even describe this? It's amusing, but it's like, why this? Why is that how you take out the Prophet? I don't know. It's pretty funny. You jump up on his chair and you just
beat the fuck out of him. Yeah, the sound effect is pretty entertaining.
Yeah, because he's like screaming.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm curious if that's just the fastest way to kill him, or if you can kill him other ways. It doesn't really seem like you're doing damage to him if you just shoot him.
It did feel that way, yeah.
But, I mean, maybe we were. Who knows?
It's going to turn out that you could do it any other way, and we just managed to do it the one most ridiculous.
Yeah, which is funny.
Yeah, it is really funny.
Punching him, latching onto his chair and beating the fuck out of him while he's helplessly whining is entertaining. But, yeah, and that's not the last you see of him, for sure. But, yeah, you beat the fuck out of him, and then the Covenant army basically annihilates this structure with a ship. Like, they fly a Covenant fleet in overhead in a cutscene, and blow up the structure that you're in for some reason. I guess because they know you're there. They're like, we'll just kill two birds with one stone.
Just get the whole
Regret, that guy's a dick. Also, the demon, that guy's a dick. Let's just blow them both up.
Well, actually, there's something kind of interesting. Well, it's something that hasn't occurred yet in the chronology of like what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But there might be like a slight hint here about how expendable different elements of the Covenant army are, just based on some decision making.
For sure.
Because they don't acknowledge the fact that they're just going to take this place out regardless of knowing what his current situation is.
Yeah.
And they just do it. So
They do. And I think, interestingly, both of them managed to survive somehow, even though it seems like a pretty instantaneous explosion. But whatever. I say survive.
In what state, though? Yeah, I was going to say.
I guess there's maybe kind of an interesting thing there. But Chief jumps in the ocean and is dragged to the bottom by a mysterious tentacle.
Yep.
And
this is now an anime.
This is where Rule 34 was invented.
Yes. The first
instance of Rule 34, right here. Mark it.
Yeah, Halo 2.
And then you get some Arbiter missions, and they both suck shit.
Yeah.
So, Sacred Icon is probably by far my least favorite.
They need a reason to get two characters in one place, I think. I don't know.
They do, and we're back in the realm of not aimless wandering, but shit happening randomly. So, you're trying to lower a shield protecting, I guess, the icon, like which is the key, the index that they need to activate Halo.
Yeah,
which will initiate the great journey, finger quotes, but it actually just fucking exterminates everybody. So the flood, humans and everybody will die.
Allegedly,
so the flood can't.
If you believe
spread.
the Oracle's lies.
Yeah, if you believe the Oracle's lies, which we fucking do not.
Yes, we are Team Covenant.
Fuck those motherfuckers.
Yeah,
everyone's wrong
except for the Covenant.
The great journey is real. I'm here to tell you, buy my book. Buy my book, The Great Journey is Real, and here's how you can be on it. Yeah, no, this is... So, you're gonna go get the sacred icon so you can turn on Halo and initiate the Great Journey. And, boy, they could have done this any other way, but they choose to make it go into this gray hallway, just like in Halo 1, and meander around for about an hour. And hate every second of it, because all you do is fight some combination of the Flood and the Sentinels.
Yeah.
And then, and the Flood are a real motherfucker here, because this is where they start to give them shotguns. And shotguns, boy, if there's one thing that I respect from Bungie, it's their commitment to making all weapons work both ways.
Yeah.
So it's like, everything that's a one-hit kill when you use it to an enemy is also a one-hit kill to you. So it's like, at point-blank range, which... admittedly is very close, but it happens from behind a lot, where an enemy will spawn in behind you, usually a Flood with a shotgun, sometimes a Covenant with a laser sword and whatever, and they will fucking just blow your shit away.
There's kind of a balance issue here, maybe. It's just in my opinion, because it's like there's just so much Flood. It'd be one thing if you had to deal with that almost like in a Dark Souls fashion, where you have to like be aware that something could like almost instantaneously kill you.
Yes.
But you have time to maybe think about
react.
It. Yeah. Whereas with this, it's like you're getting
bombarded,
and you have to worry about just instant death.
Yeah, and it's often, I mean, and this is probably more of a split screen issue than anything, but it's harder to tell which ones have shotguns until they're pretty close to you.
Yeah.
So you can't even really prioritize,
because the perspective of the shotgun is always like It could look like anything.
Yeah,
it is. I mean, it's really hard to tell what weapon they have until it's already too late.
Yeah, because there's just a mess of textures and tentacles and whatever. So, yeah, and I mean, whatever. It's a minor complaint. It doesn't really ruin the game, but it's something you notice a lot where you're like, I just got fucking wiped out, and I really didn't feel like I could do anything about it. Video games, whatever. I don't think it's like a huge issue, but it is something that I noticed for sure.
Yeah, maybe not as bad as random pits.
Yeah.
Maybe equally as frustrating? I don't know.
I don't
you got screwed over by shotgun Floods more than I did too, so I don't know if you feel more emotional about the pits or the shotguns.
It was just like something to be aware of, I guess. And at a certain point you become so used to it that fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, definitely also shame on me.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah, so you play through this level. I really don't like this level very much. This is the one where we got lost the most because every hallway looks the fucking same. They do this weird mechanic, finger quotes. I'm going to call it a mechanic. It's basically just Bungie going, fuck, I don't know, pistons.
Oh, God.
So, like, a lot of the ways that you raise... Like, you traverse this environment mostly vertically, which I think is cool.
Yeah.
But the way you do it is very odd. Like, there's like a thing that you walk up to and push a button on and it raises, and then you jump inside and then it lowers again. It's just very weird. And like, some of them are just like straight up drops to like a lower level. Some of them are like weird vents, like
I like the slides.
Yeah.
It's kind of a fun little moment. They could have done smaller versions of that instead of... Like, the pistons are annoying because you're trying to run away from the Flood, because who in their right mind would stay in front of them?
Right.
And you just have to fiddle the shit and get it to open.
And, I mean, there is an in-canon explanation for this, which is that...
Some sort of facility.
Well, you're traversing a facility that wasn't really meant for people who walk, I guess. I mean, it's for the Sentinels. They fly around, right?
Okay.
So it, like, makes sense, but it's just not
Is
fun.
making sense fun?
No. And using logic in a science fiction thingy...
Stupid.
Yeah,
Illogical.
Who needs that shit?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I don't know. No, I like it when things are internally consistent, but, like, it makes for a really odd gameplay conceit for sure. Yeah, this level just sucks all around. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like
levels
like this are why I find myself going, Halo 2,
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah. So you lower the shield, I guess. I don't know. It's not very clear.
You do whatever you were set out to do.
This is all a blur for me. I think the middle portion of this game is pretty uninteresting. And then you basically you go to find the fucking icon. That's the whole thing. Is you're trying to find the index. And the level becomes Sacred Icon is the mission where you're lowering the shield. Quarantine Zone is a mission where you're trying to actually find the icon now that you've lowered the shield, and the flutter everywhere. You spend some time outside in the snow, which is cool. This is clearly like a very war-torn environment. A lot of like big crevasses and like explodey bits and on fire things.
Yeah.
This level, it's hard to describe because there's really no like. It's a canyon, I guess, but it's like
the colors here are really cool.
Dark.
There's a lot of like orange and purple.
Yeah, and like neon-y. Yeah, for sure. I agree. And again, you get to drive some vehicles, some wraiths, and the scepter or specter or whatever it's called, and yeah, this is another just kind of it sounds rude to call it a filler mission, but it's definitely like you're basically just traversing an environment this entire time. Nothing of note particularly happens.
Yeah, I
mean, until the cutscene at the end of this mission.
Yeah, depending on what types of stages you like out of the Halo franchise in general, you could call anything a filler level.
Yeah, that's true.
For me, the filler levels are just going back and forth through claustrophobic environents.
Agreed. Yeah,
like sitting on an elevator fighting some shit while an animation convinces you that you're moving.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, I could definitely see that, and I do enjoy this mission more than the last one. This is generally pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you find the index. Fucking big surprise.
Well, he is the best.
Yeah, you get to like an old structure where Tartarus is already there, I guess.
Yeah, he's on top of shit.
Yeah, I don't know. It is interesting, and
Yeah, why is that?
Like this is when the brutes and the elites seem to turn against each other.
Well, it's because they're both. Maybe the implication here, story-wise, is that they're both set with the same goals without mutually knowing that.
Yeah,
and it's just like whoever gets to it first, we're going to start considering.
No, I think they know. It's just that the internal politics of like the brutes kind of taking the elite's place in the Covenant.
Yeah, because they can't really coexist in one role.
Yeah, they both have a lot of pride. The elites are like the historical right hand of the prophets.
Yeah,
and there's basically like, because the Prophet of Regret was killed on the elite's watch, it seems like the brutes are taking their place as the right hand of the Covenant and of the prophets. And I don't know, they definitely like gesture towards this stuff a lot, and I do appreciate the subtlety of storytelling, but there is a lot of weird, again, just stuff that sort of happens. So it seems like at this moment, this is the boiling point where like shit goes bad. Tartarus seems to turn against the Arbiter in some sense, and you fall down a hole and wind up being grabbed by the same tentacle as the Master Chief, and then
at the same time.
Yeah, and then you meet the Gravemind.
The Gravemind, which
is a cool uncircumcised penis with teeth.
Yeah, he's more like fleshy in the remaster. It's weird. He went through a pretty interesting redesign.
Yeah, for sure.
He's implied to be the leader of the Flood. If you'd even call him a leader, he's more like the collective consciousness of the Flood.
Yeah, there's a hive mind thing going on.
Yeah, where he like speaks the words that they can't, kind of.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's interesting.
There's he's very philosophical. He's very flowery with his word choice. He's in general, the writing in Halo 2 is really strong, like character writing.
But this is the funny thing about the Gravemind is I remember his dialogue being more kind of cringy than it actually ended up being.
Yeah.
Like, in my mind, it existed as being, like, having, like, an agenda and stuff, but he kind of, like, when he talks, he's almost, like, talking about nothing. He's just sort of stating ideas.
Yeah, he's very, like, he's very extra.
Yeah.
For sure.
He's not, like, preaching the flood, really. He's just kind of, like...
Yeah, he's just like stating facts.
He's
basically.
cool.
Yeah, I like the Gravemind.
His visual design is really cool.
Yeah,
looks like a Silent Hill monster.
He really does. This whole sequence feels ripped out of another thing. It's very odd.
Especially with our other friend who isn't dead.
Yeah, so there's a brief moment where they're like, "Let's talk about what Halo really is and what the Great Journey really is," and he basically does a puppet show with another Oracle and the Prophet of Regret.
Yeah. The prophet from the earlier level, who is like absorbed into one of his tentacles.
Yeah, he's
like his limbs are missing, and
he's got like one arm and no legs,
but he's still very clearly there.
Yeah,
and,
he's conscious. Yeah,
it's horrifying.
It's a pretty bad fate for him, honestly. Something I don't even think a weird fucker like him deserves. But They utilize him and the Oracle to kind of describe to the Arbiter the importance of not letting the ring be activated.
Right.
Master Chief's, of course, already on board with this. He's like, "Why the fuck am I here? I already know all this shit from Halo 1."
He's Team Flood in this moment. He doesn't even know it, but...
that's kind of the fun irony here is that, like, by choosing to continue to not allow the ring to activate and continue to survive, you're allowing the Flood to continue to exist.
Yeah, and the Arbiter is not hearing any of this.
So, boy.
So he wants you both to...
He basically is like, "You work for me now, fuckers."
Yeah.
I bought your business.
It's kind of a mutually assured destruction thing.
Yeah.
Right? That's the idea of... I mean, this is where, like, the motivation for them to actually carry out the task that he gives of both trying to... They're trying to get the index, right?
Yep. And the Arbiter kind of doesn't believe him a little bit, but over time, he comes to his own conclusions. Mm. He's a little like, "Fuck you, you fucker," and...
He's heard more than one person say this, so now he's convinced.
Sort of. I don't think he's like fully on board at this point.
Well, he's getting there.
But he's getting there. And it's odd. So basically the Gravemind is like, "I'm going to teleport one of you somewhere and one of you somewhere else, and you will carry out my will."
How does he do this? We don't know.
Great question.
Not an ability that I thought that the Flood had.
Yep.
It's going to turn out to be another stupid thing that we don't know. He has some sort of a weird technology that he's using. I don't know. But they teleport.
So the Arbiter is teleported to a random cliff face that, seemingly random, but actually well placed for delivering some much needed death onto the leagues of the brutes. Mm-hmm. He's basically... He
gets a beautiful vista.
Yeah, he does get a nice vista where he spawns. Contrary to the Chief, who just gets...
Right into a little...
altercation.
Yeah. Right into combat. He doesn't even get a chance to enjoy...
No.
His time there.
No. But yeah, so the next mission is called Uprising, and it's what is it? It is basically just the Arbiter moving to find where the index is used, I guess, would be kind of the easiest way to describe it. You fight through another big kind of mountainous environment in order to get to the mission kind of ends with you next to Mandibles again, who pulls up in a Wraith, and you go, "Oh shit, is that you, cuz?" And then he goes, "Yeah, motherfucker.
Guess what?
We're
doing something different."
Yep, inside of here is where where the shit happens, and then that's it. I mean, I like this mission. It's fun. There's a lot of beautiful like vistas.
Yeah.
And you get to see a lot more Covenant and like Forerunner architecture.
Yeah. I don't mind this. This is kind of... I really like the latter half of Halo 2.
Yeah, it's like a game thing. It's cool, but there's a lot of like I really don't have much to say. It's fun. It's Halo. You know what I mean? It's Halo. There's some good environments, some good places to kill folks, and you do.
What else is there really to say?
Yeah, I don't know. So I think the real interesting mission comes with the Chief, and this is a pretty short one, but it's where you get teleported onto the Covenant flagship,
and he says "boo," and he scares a grunt.
Yeah, he scares the shit out of a grunt,
right out of a grunt.
So this is kind of where by.
This is a cool sequence.
Yeah, and I mean, basically, what he's doing here is attempting to get the index.
Yeah, but you're kind of like, are you like releasing other troopers or something at this point, or no?
Yeah, you're on the ship and you notice there are Marines like caged up here, so you kind of let them loose to help you wreak havoc because you're on your own at the beginning. So, and you wind up just fighting your way through this ship in order to stop the Prophet of Truth, who is preparing. He has the index thanks to Tartarus, and he's preparing to activate it. Yeah. So you're trying to stop him. The Arbiter is kind of like you're like pincer maneuvering. You're like closing in from both sides, right? Yeah. The interesting thing about this is that you wind up. By the time you fight through this ship, you leave Cortana behind. Yeah, it's kind of brushed over as a plot point at this part, but it's pretty big. Like you
mostly because I don't remember not being able to understand what the Covenant's saying.
Yeah, right. I mean, yeah, exactly. Fuck, a plot hole. Am I right? Yeah, no. I mean, it's.
She isn't there. How does he do it?
Yeah, how does he understand? Who fucking knows?
He was just paying attention the whole time.
Yeah, he actually can read lips.
He learned.
So yes, you fail in getting the index, essentially. You kind of come to the throne room and the Prophet of Truth has betrayed the other prophet of whatever the fuck. I don't know, who even knows. Because the Flood are on this ship now, and they choke that other prophet out. Yeah.
This is sad.
Yeah, the betrayal is pretty dirty. Honestly, It feels like even Tartarus is like, ugh. Like,
this is the thing with the Flood, right?
Real dick. Yeah.
Yeah. Like well, the Flood shows up. We didn't even like mention.
Yeah, fuck it.
Well, it's important. I mean, the Flood shows up, and one of them comes up and attacks the Prophet. And just as Tartarus is about to save him, the other Alpha Prophet is like, nah, don't. He doesn't have to go with us.
But why though?
Yeah, we can do with one fewer.
Yeah, this is a Pikachu meme. For sure. It's like
he's just with his mouth agape.
Yeah. Prophet, like tenuous political relationship, and then betrays me, and then the mouth agape Pikachu. Like,
see, it's interesting that you went there because what I was thinking is Tartarus's Pikachu in this situation.
Oh, sure, okay.
And it's just like, wow, that's surprisingly cruel, even for you guys.
Yeah, totally. Jesus. I could see that. Yes. So.
Another prophet down.
Not at the
hands of the Chief.
And the other prophet escapes and goes to where the Arbiter is to use the index. Yeah. Which basically now means that you need to get the fuck out of there. Yeah. So you wind up leaving Cortana behind and jumping on a ship and flying really fast away.
I can't remember if there's like a little interlude where the Chief catches up with them. Does it happen at a different point? Like, is there a time jump? But he like catches up to where the Prophet that is still dying at this point because he has the Flood on him.
Yeah, because the betrayal doesn't happen with the Chief there. He discovers it. Yeah. And that basically, he catches up to them, and
he has like a quick chat with the Prophet.
Yeah, right before he dies. I guess it's kind of a weird random death, but
the Chief like pulls the thing off and it kills him midway, which kind of makes you question like if there is an option for him to like save him there. If he's just being like kind of cruel. I don't know.
It's odd, but Yes, there's a small chat. Things start to really happen here. Like, things speed up in a way that it becomes harder to keep up with. Like, you understand kind of the broad strokes, but the details become blurry as I'm thinking about them. But yeah, and then the last mission of the game is an Arbiter mission. And it's like a quick little, you and Mandibles are like, instead of standing around here, do you want to go inside and fuck some shit up? And he goes, fuck yeah. And you guys go and he's like, let me get the keys to my other car. He's in like the Wraith right now.
Is this where Johnson shows up with his
yes.
key also?
Yes. He's like, let me grab my other car. It's bigger. And then you guys roll up on a Scarab.
Yeah.
And
he turned in his tank.
Yeah, Johnson,
ladies love Scarabs.
Yeah, it's really just a bigger tank.
Yeah.
Ladies love things that are bigger, I guess. I don't know.
Oh, God.
Who knows what the ladies like? I don't know. Fuck. Yeah, so, yes. This is where Johnson and the Arbiter interact, which is pretty good. But this mission is literally entirely a vehicle mission. It's ground vehicles, and then you transition into Banshees as you protect the Scarab, marching back to the locked door and blowing your way in.
And we kind of didn't know what to do for a minute.
Yeah.
You're just kind of like flying around, and then all of a sudden there's an open entryway.
The game design here is so odd, because it doesn't really feel like the culmination of everything.
I guess we were supposed to like know that after he does that, the doors open, but it doesn't like directly tell you to go.
Well, more Banshees keep spawning.
Yeah,
more
so you think you
Banshees,
don't have...
so you think you kind of keep waiting. But yeah, I mean, there was a moment where we were kind of just flying around, and we're like, I guess we should go in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you go in, and then you have a cutscene where everyone important except for the Master Chief is all in the same room. Mm-hmm. Tartarus, and the Prophet, who I believe escapes somehow. I actually don't. That's kind of something that I don't really remember.
I think
Tartarus, the Prophet, Oracle.
Yeah.
Johnson, Miranda Keys, Arbiter.
How did Miranda... Oh, they got captured at a certain point?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't really know. Maybe they mentioned that at some point, but Johnson and Miranda Keys are in Tartarus's...
Oh, yeah, no, it's just Miranda. She gets captured on her own.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because Johnson, pops up and he's like... What does he say? He has some line about shooting them if they don't listen. Yeah. Because they're going to talk to...
Fuck you, motherfucker. Yeah, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
It's a weird situation.
Yeah. Again, it's well written, but a lot of these details become blurry because so much stuff is just happening all at once.
My favorite thing about this scene, personally, just like the cinematic and like writing aspect of it, is the fact that even at this point, the Arbiter is kind of clearly giving Tartarus a chance to think about this differently.
Sure.
After all that they've been through, like they've I don't know. They've had a pretty complex situation. He's still willing to be like, hey, I can talk some sense into you.
Yes.
That's one of my favorite things. That's like character development for the Arbiter to me.
I mean, well, and I think more than anything, it's the Arbiter feels betrayed by the Prophets, and
not so much the Brutes. Maybe it's like mutual betrayal.
I mean, it's well, he realizes that the entire Covenant is being used in order to fulfill some weird
any species
idea.
Under the umbrella.
Exactly. So. And yeah, he kind of tries to allow 343 to explain, and Tartarus clearly gets it. He's like, oh, yeah, okay. Fuck it. I don't know. He basically makes a conscious decision that he doesn't believe that it's a negative that they're all going to be killed. He kind of sees it as that's just another step in the great journey.
Oh, that's so cool. There's some ambiguity about how he actually feels about the situation, but the ultimate thing is
he's like, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard you out, but I don't care.
Yeah, so
it's pretty cool.
So you fight him.
It's
a fun thing. He has the world's first gravity hammer.
Man.
Which really fucks everybody up, for sure. We didn't fail this fight at all, but you got smacked a few times. You spent half this fight dead and waiting to respawn.
Do you think by this point, when people were playing these games, like, I mean, it's only the sequel, but do you think people were realizing that if something shows up in one game that you can't use, it's a safe bet that you'll get it in the next one? So
I mean,
it builds hype because it's the first time you see the gravity hammer and it's so freely available.
I think it's in a certain sample size definitely true, but also there are a lot of, like, you never get to fly a pelican, at least, well, do you? Is there ever a mission? Is there ever a game where you fly a pelican? I don't think so.
Not the ones I played, but also, what was the other thing? It's also interesting in that when the brutes are kind of more developed on, because the story is about to end, and the brutes are going to be in the next game. The gravity hammer gets more kind of implemented into their ranks. It's not in this game. It's like kind of Tartarus's kind of unique weapon.
Yeah,
but it turns out it's something that's just part of their culture, which is cool that they're.
Yeah, and it kind of feels like a retcon in some ways. They're like, we should have used this more.
See, I took it as though they were going to, like, implement it into... Well, yeah, you're probably right. I don't know.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel like it's that much... it's... There's a lot of stuff like that. I mean, It's not just video games, it's movies and everything. You know what I mean? It's like, as things progress, you have to find a way to introduce new things without making it seem like they are inherently new to the universe, I guess.
Well, the thing that the only saving grace for me there is that it is cool that the very last fight that you have in this game, a new weapon is introduced. That's kind of a cool little thing.
They do a good, like I said, they do a good job of introducing new mechanics and conceits and things. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. You fight him. It's okay.
Yeah.
And when he dies, I guess we should say right before you fight him, he chooses to activate the index.
Yeah.
So you're kind of on the clock here.
He's like, this shit's happening no matter what.
Yeah, galactic annihilation pending. And you kill him, and Miranda quickly parkours her way over to the index and pulls it out of the slot mid-activation, which...
Makes you wonder what her job was like before this.
Yeah, she was definitely like a rock climbing instructor or something.
Pulled from her job to go to space.
Yeah. And yeah, I think you can tell they were rushed here because the ending feels pretty lackluster in more ways than one. It's an understatement for sure, but it's like the ending for everything. So it's like, okay, you get like a quick, the sequence, the destruction sequence, the activation of the ring stops midway, and because it stops midway, it basically fires off a beacon that notifies all the other rings and puts them on standby, so they can be activated remotely. 343 kind of explains it this way.
It's a strange mechanic.
It's a strange mechanic, and it really just feels like kind of an ass pull to have a relevance and some kind of stakes for Halo 3. It does show that there's a lot more rings out there.
Yeah.
And it's funny that it really only, I don't know. We'll get into this as the series goes on, but the constant threat of the Halos becomes, while it becomes more dire in the plot and in the lore, it becomes so much less dire to the player because it's just like a weird Doom thing.
There's always a chief in a Halo.
Yeah, exactly. Halo is secretly just BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
Yes. No, I don't know. It's so 343 kind of explains, hey, the rings are ready for remote activation, and Miranda's like, where? And then they kind of cut away, and Chief's on his ship, and...
Where's he going again?
To finish the fight.
Yeah, but where is that?
Fuck if I know.
Oh.
I think he goes back to Earth. Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. Yes.
Right,
I don't know.
Sierra 117. I think that's the name of it.
That is the name of the mission in the beginning of Halo 3, yes. I feel like he goes back to Earth because he's back outside of Cairo Station.
Yeah. No, you're right. Yeah.
So, but why?
He needs to be.
Yeah, I guess he just has to help them.
That's the one place
win the fight, I guess. I don't... It's very odd. It is it feels like he just sort of feels like they need his help, so he goes back
to finish the fight.
Things just happen. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
Halo 2. Things just happen.
Yeah. Halo 2 : things just happen. Yeah. No, agreed. I don't know. I overall I think the plot is more coherent than the first game.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's still story is not the main reason you play Halo for sure. I mean, I think the characters wind up being that reason in a lot of ways. It's like the gameplay is the main reason, and then the characters are they're strong. They're really strong. Like the character writing in this series as a whole, but definitely in this game shows as like being stronger than its peers. Like, games in 2004 were not written this well, like, character-wise, for sure.
I think for me, the problem is less the story, because I really love the story. It's more so the measures that they take to like, kind of cut corners to get to those... Like, because overall, the story of Halo is really interesting. Like, you have... It's not just two different races fighting. It's like... There's, like, a huge campaign between, like, three major parties, to be honest. You know? Flood, Humans, and Covenant. And then it's, like... There's all sorts of other perspectives, but to me, it's more so like the weird corner cutting to get through the plot fast. That's where it kind of falls apart.
Yeah, it's the progression of things is odd, but yeah. All right, cool. So we'll kind of talk about our we'll do a little segment where we talk about our 3 favorite things and
after a quick
not
break.
So good things. Yeah, after a short break, short message from our sponsor, the bathroom. Oh.
No, the bathroom.
Okay.
Yeah. That's more realistic.
Okay, perfect. All right, we'll be right back. Okay, and
that was a word
back
from our sponsors.
Oh yes, our sponsor, the bathroom. Use it before it's too late. Cool. So, yeah, this is the segment of the show where we talk about some shit we like and we don't like.
Yep.
However, I'm doing a live retcon here. I'm actually pulling the rug out from under you.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. I didn't even tell you about this before we started recording, so
right.
I'm looking forward to... So, anybody can think of 3 fucking things. Like, that's basically the entire game. You could sum up the entire game in 3 things. We're just gonna do one thing.
Okay.
One for the sake of brevity. This has gone on fucking far too long. But more importantly... you just pick your favorite thing and your least favorite thing, and we'll...
Okay.
Alright.
Well, the only difficult thing about this is that it makes you not want to have possible joke answers. But
I mean, hey man, if you want to use your favorite thing or least favorite thing on some dumbass meme, then by all means.
All right. We'll be it does influence you to be a little bit more genuine. I'll have to pick one thing. All right. Do you go first or
no? Go ahead.
You want me to go first?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You should go first. I need a second to
think.
Oh,
Jesus.
I need to like consider these 3 things, man.
See, I wrote this shit down, so I'm like ready to go.
Well, if you're ready to go, then
you're right. So you're right. I have like 5 things here.
Yeah.
So I'm going to pick. So we'll start out with positives.
Mm-hmm.
So for 3 best things, I think legitimately the strongest thing, in my opinion, in this whole game,
mm-hmm.
is Blur's involvement.
Yeah.
I think that is, I mean, I guess, well, maybe the strongest thing in this whole game is a little overdramatic. But the thing that made the remaster so appealing
mm-hmm.
as a concept is seeing a thing that you know and love beautified in a way that gives it a whole new life.
Yeah.
Like, this could have been this was, for all intents and purposes, even though it runs in the same engine
mm-hmm.
as Halo 2, that's how they constantly are able to do this switching between the old graphics and the new graphics. Even though it runs in the same engine, I mean, the game is like... It could pass as a modern video game. And the cinematics really sell that. Like, the storytelling is elevated to a whole new degree through the use of these CG, really well done CG cinematics. So, I think that's probably my favorite thing.
I can totally get behind that. That would be my answer if I thought of it first. But I can think of like a different one. But Blur's involvement. I mean, the cinematics are just amazing. Everything that they get their hands on is just incredible. I couldn't agree more. This game is so wonderful to look at, and This might be one of the like actual legitimate pluses over like Halo 1 in terms of like the Master Chief Collection related positives, you know?
Yeah.
Halo 2 probably looks better.
Yeah.
You know, right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And we're going to experience something really odd because the Halo 3 finger quotes remaster in Master Chief Collection doesn't really change any of the textures or anything.
Yeah.
So we're about to go play a game that looks worse than the game we just played.
And I have mixed feelings about that because even Halo 3 in my memory, I'm sure it is going to be like pretty in some respect.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think it looked like this.
No, it doesn't
like,
look
this
as
is
good.
Just yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't look as good at all. So
all right, so
cool.
Should I say my favorite thing, or do you tell me your
No, yeah. Are you ready?
Okay. Yeah,
right, go ahead.
All right, so because I can't choose that answer, I'll just say something that plays off of it, and I think my favorite thing is going to be the narrative of this game.
Okay.
Like the story, and more particularly the Covenant story.
Okay.
Overall, it's super interesting to me, but like, there's this thing with sequels where, for me, they usually fail because they get into this territory of trying to explain too much, which this does, like, explain more. But what it actually does to me is give you more to think about than, like, answer questions. It gives you almost more questions, but you get just this really great insight into the Covenant. And it's less simple than the first game, but if you're going to expand on a universe, like, this is the way that I think it's done right, you know?
Okay.
And I guess that isn't partial to the Master Chief Collection, but it's enhanced by Blur's involvement in the cinematics, because it's all like all of that story gets conveyed better through
I agree.
You know?
Yeah, definitely. I think those things go hand in hand for sure.
Yeah.
So,
and it's a thing that's enhanced by a new aspect of the collection, right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's my favorite thing. I love the story of this game.
All right, cool. Do you want to do your negative first, or do you want me to do mine?
Do your negative first.
Okay. Back when I had 3 to waste, one was I had written here in my notes the flood and then parentheses again. Mm-hmm. But mine is actually going to be the pacing.
Okay.
Well, I think
of the gameplay or everything.
The pacing of the campaign is really fucking all over the place. Mm-hmm. It's really my biggest complaint about a lot of things outside of some of the more little nitpicky like level design and gameplay aspects. But like, you can tell that this game was rushed in some capacity in development. Like you know, they're and they talk about that a little bit in the documentary, where it's like, you know, we had this idea for the game that we wanted to make, and ultimately that got chopped up into a lot of different pieces, and we just stitched together what we had. Plenty of games are made that way. I think probably more than we realize, but in this case, it feels really evident. Yeah. Like when you consider the progression of things as how jarring it is. Like, you know, we'll say kind of jump from aimless wandering in the first act to, you know, suddenly realizing what the actual goal and what the enemy is, with the revelation of there being another Halo, to immediately, like, shortly thereafter, some shit's going down and we're on the path of stopping this, right? Like, I mean, in some capacity, it you know, it's good because it lacks filler, but it really makes the whole game kind of feel odd. Like, to me, there's this constant thing hanging over this narrative of why are we here? Like, what's the relevance of this, or how did we wind up in blank situation, right? Like, the Gravemind is an example of, like, they just needed a good excuse to get 2 characters in the same place without killing each other. Yeah. And they used kind of a cool character to do it. Yeah. But, like, it's that one scene is kind of evident of the pacing issues in and of itself, because it's like they bring the 2 main characters into the same room, and then use 2 puppets to have a show to explain to them exactly what's going on, and how their struggles relate. and then set them off on different missions. And I don't know. It's things move at a breakneck pace in this game, and I think it's really odd, and in some ways the game suffers for it.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Is this where I get to say my part?
Yeah.
All right. It's so hard to pick one thing, and in this whole time that you've been talking, I've been, like, in the back of my mind, I've been trying to figure out what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't have to be something that is partial to the
No.
Master Chief Collection. It can be just something about the game experience.
Totally.
All right. I hate the utilization of the Flood in this game.
Yeah.
Not the Gravemind. I like the story and the expansion on it, but there's, like, nothing new introduced about them that, like, gives you intrigue for why you're, like, fighting them. Like, his story is interesting, but you get new types of Flood that you're fighting in the third one, if I remember right, and they're kind of expanded on, which I think is necessary for, like, keeping you engaged with something that is so damn annoying to fight against.
Yeah.
I just kind of wish that, and it's, like, such a weird thing to have as, like, a least favorite, but with an enemy that I just didn't really like fighting in the game, I have to consider why that is. And it's just because there's nothing interesting about them as an enemy. They get, like, AI developments, because I know we think that they're, like, driving for the first time in this game.
Yeah.
Or something, or maybe they were driving the original one, but they're just not fun to fight against, and there's nothing that really keeps you engaged on them.
Yeah, it's
they're just like a filler enemy, as mean as that
yeah,
sounds.
they're just thrown in for the sake of variety, which obviously is always welcome. Anything to kind of stave off boredom and repetition, but I think in this case, like, they serve the same kind of plot MacGuffin that they do in the first game, which is that they're the all-consuming evil that, you know, everyone is afraid of. But
it feels so fresh in the first game. And, and it has to, because it's their first introduction. But it
comes out of fucking nowhere in the first game.
This kind of reminds me of, like, something like Walking Dead situation, where they're not as interesting anymore, as, like, they're kind of just zombies. You know what I mean? At this point, they're utilized.
It becomes about the characters. And
And in the first one, the way they're introduced and the sort of environments they're in are very spooky. There's, like, a tonal shift in the type of game you're playing when they're introduced. And you get to, like, experience, like, a whole new kind of feeling with it. And this, they're just sort of an enemy.
Totally.
You know? Yeah. They're not too scary. They're not intimidating so much as they're annoying.
Yeah. There's nothing to really give you that new feeling of wonder and kind of, like, shock at their existence. I guess the Gravemind kind of does that. It's, like, very surprising that he's even a thing.
Yeah.
But
I think another reason that it's, like, my top one is because in my top 3 actual things that I liked of Halo 1, the Flood was at the top.
Yeah.
And one of them. Yeah.
It's a far fall from grace, for sure.
Yeah. They're just boring.
Cool. Okay. Conclusion.
A good experience. I'm ready to play the next one.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun. I mean, there were moments where I was kind of just zoned out.
Yeah.
Doing what I gotta do, and I think that's just...
We didn't get frustrated as much as... I feel like there was a point in Halo where we got, like, frustrated.
Yeah, there were a couple of levels that were just outright garbage.
Whereas in this one, the worst that we did is make fun of something being repetitive.
Yeah. Like, I think there's a level that's kind of... You know, there's a level or two in there that are just sort of lackluster, but nothing outright offensive. I really don't think that Halo 2 is as memorable overall as a game in terms of the campaign as Halo 1 is. It just doesn't feel as iconic to me. I'm sure people disagree with that. I think the multiplayer was like a sea change for the industry, for sure.
Yeah.
But as a campaign experience, it's I think as a co-op experience, anything is more fun than it would be solo. So imagine playing through this by yourself. Like, it'd be even worse. Like, the addition of another person makes everything more enjoyable, honestly. And,
yeah.
You know.
There's a lot of questions there of how it, like, impacts the narrative of the game. Like, just, like, absorbing the story, like, having 2 people playing, I don't know. I was thinking about that, like, constantly.
Yeah, you pay a little less attention because you're kind of memeing around. But
well, because it's a story about mostly, like, 2 people and their rivalry that sort of spawns into something else. But and playing it like with another it's weird. It puts it in a different perspective, but I see what you're saying. It was probably more miserable in those parts. You don't have somebody to like joke around with about it.
Yeah, definitely. Cool. Okay. So, next time, Gears of War?
Huh?
No. Yeah.
Maybe. No problem.
Yeah, no.
Or Halo, maybe.
We really tried to play Gears of War for this episode, and it was just... I was like, what do I even say about this?
Yeah.
This game feels weird and old.
There's so many issues with... With
getting it to run. Yeah, it was just a whole thing. But, what I think most likely... I mean, it's probably not even worth saying what our ideas are for the next episode, because... that could always change, like this one did. But
tossed around Borderlands.
But no, shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up.
You can censor that. You should censor that.
We're definitely not doing Borderlands now. So now that you mentioned it,
no, you got to do like.
No, I know. I'm kidding. But yeah, so I mean, we'll hopefully. The goal is to do one of these not once per year, but let's say maybe once per month.
Because they're so long.
Yeah, but.
This is a lot to talk about.
It is. But it's always fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So thanks for talking. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Thank you for being here with us.
And we'll see you guys soon.
Yeah.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.